Hello everyone, my name is Daphne and today is April 11th, 2022. I'm at MacLeod house with Grigori. Hello Grigori.
Hello, how are you?
Great. So Grigori, could you tell us your full name, your age and your place of birth?
I was born in Kiev. That time it was Soviet Union, now it's Ukraine obviously. I'm 65 years old and my name is Grigori Khaskin, Khaskin. Family name not very often happened into Canada and even in Soviet Union.
And could you tell us your date of birth?
January 5th.
Which year?
It's every year on January 5th.
Yeah, but which year were you
I
born?
was born physically 57. 1957.
Okay. What do you know about your family surname?
About my family?
Your family name, so Khaskin in this case?
Oh, it was a few names, but I keep my name from time of great-great-grandfathers who came from Lithuania, and it's my father's family origin, and then going to Belarus and Ukraine, and my mom's family from Poland as well went to Ukraine. So when I was born, and last three generations, including my kids, were born in Ukraine.
And do you know the meaning of your name in your language?
It's a Jewish traditional name, and it's came from actually woman name. So son of the woman name, whatever. But it's pretty much irrelevant now.
Which language do you speak growing up?
Both Russian and Ukrainian. I'm fluent in both languages.
And do you know any stories from your family or more distant relatives?
Of course I do, of course. And for example, my grandfather from my dad's side had exact same name I am having. And he was Jewish, and it was apartheid in Russian Empire. So it was a 5% quota to get into higher education for non-Orthodox Christian people, and it was designed specifically to ban Jews from attending. So my granddad managed to get through all the hoops and graduated the same university I graduated later. And he was against the war, the First World War, was arrested, and when February Revolution, when Tsar was abdicated, he was released from jail, and he was so affected by that experience, and Bolsheviks came to power, he joined them, but he didn't want to fight really. And he, with his education, it was just a general education, science and medicine, and he became a surgeon. So he was cutting erroneous limbs of Red Army soldiers in the battles. So it was so-called Iron Division that went from North Caucasus to up to the Poland, and he had a romance with a nurse there, my grandmother. So my father actually was born in 1921 in the army. So that was interesting. And yeah, and then it was interesting how grandma, who lost her husband, my grandfather, pretty young due to disease, typhus and then kidney failure, and she managed to get my father through his childhood alone, and how she escaped purges in Soviet Union, and then she was just run away from Kiev, from Kharkov, and finished in Mariupol, which now is bombing going on in this current war, big time, and she was head of the hospital there. Then the war, and afterwards I returned back to Kiev, and I was born in Kiev.
And you said your grandfather and you yourself graduated from the same university.
Including my father
and
too.
Your father. And which university was that?
It was Kiev State University. Before it was St. Vladimir. Now, after revolution and beginning of 20th century, it was renamed to Shevchenko University. So, grandfather really from St. Vladimir University, and I'm from Taras Shevchenko University. It's the same university.
Do you know if the university is still there?
Of course. Of course, and I know more than a few guys who had been studying with me, now professors there, and have their own students and so on.
You said your grandfather studied like general studies, medicine, and science.
Yeah,
do you know,
it was no separation at the time.
Do you know what did your father study and what did you study?
I know what did I study.
Yeah,
my father was a chemist. I wanted to become a biologist, but it didn't happen. Despite later I was working in both fields. And I became a chemist too. I had a PhD in chemistry, organic chemistry. I worked in Ukrainian Academy of Science till I immigrated to Canada. And here I was working at SFU for 23 years. I was working in chemistry and in biology. So altogether maybe around 40 years in science. And now I'm just a bum. I'm whatever, small business owner with my wife. Yeah. I brought a piece that you may be interested in, ladies. I bet you've never seen this type of documents before in your life. So it's my top clearance from Chernobyl, where I worked after explosion in a nuclear plant, and I can guide you through this if you're interested.
Okay, maybe we can shoot a separate video after the interview, or do you want to do it now?
Sure. Yeah. Or
because we need to like reset.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll postpone it.
Later.
Yeah, and I'll explain you even why these holes are here. So
you worked in Chernobyl?
Yes. I do not consider myself a hero because nothing heroic was there. And number one. Number two, I tried several times to get out of there for obvious reason and was put back. So, but all in all, I spent 45 days. That's why it pains me so much to see what's going on in Chernobyl right now, when the stupid idiots just dug the red forest, and I had my own armed vehicle in Chernobyl with a driver, with the guy who was responsible for radio, and every time we were going through this area, I asked the driver to push gas as under the floor, the pedal, because it was so bad there. So speed was like 90 to 100 kilometers in this big iron box. And now seeing these people making trenches there, hiding the armed vehicles there, they're already dead, even if they don't know that. They're already dead. They will have all kinds of disease, and many of them will not live till summer. I guarantee that. Anyway, and I don't care much about the stupidity of these people, but they actually dug too much radioactive dirt, and levels of radiation are increasing there. So it was my work to suppress radioactive dust, to put this stuff down under the surface, and they just take everything up. Anyway.
Thank you for sharing that with us.
It's okay.
And we'll move on to more business-related questions.
Sure, go for it.
Could you describe your business to us, its name, location, and the service you provide?
Okay. It's for me, it's like a retirement project. My wife is more in it than I am. She is a boss. I'm number 2. And we locate physically on North Road, Coquitlam side, address Unit 1555, North Road. It's between Austin and Cochrane Avenue, just. And business was there before. A friend of mine started it in 2001, and then he became kind of interesting in Eastern religions, Indian ways. I cannot just sell sausage because it goes against my belief. I'm not eating meat anymore. And he asked me to find someone maybe who will get this stuff. And then I spoke to my wife, and then, hey, why not us? So, and that's how we became the owner of the store. So the store is not just meat, no. It's a deli store and a lot of goods from Europe. We put emphasis because of our background, our community ties to stuff from Russia, Ukraine, but as well we have a lot of from Caucasus. We have stuff from Bulgaria, Romania. We have a lot of former Yugoslavia, Hungary, Germany, not much from Czech Republic, for example. And we have from Baltic states quite a few interesting things. So it's mostly it's a food, mostly food. Sometimes it's not necessarily food, but yes. We have our own line of cheeses, for example, could be Polish, could be German, could be Dutch, could be Swiss. We're trying not to mimic and not to repeat what you have in the big stores. It's a niche market. And same goes for all preserves, same goes for all vegetables and fish. Fish is very important to people who came from my end of the woods. So it's a smoked fish and it's a dry fish. So we're joking that the dry fish goes with the beer and nice smoked fish goes with the vodka. But in reality you can mix and match anyway. And yeah, that's a big point of attraction. And we have a small kitchenette. We have 2 cooks on staff, and we're doing daily pastries. They're, again, Eastern European recipes, very interesting one coming from Tartar cuisine from Crimea. These people invented meat pockets like crescent looking. And yeah, it's a hit. Yeah, I'm joking sometimes, telling customers, I have to warn you, it's very addictive. So you'll bear consequences if you try it. Because we cannot serve to addicts too much, because we have just limited amount of this every day. Hey, people trying and say, oh, I want 10 of them. No, we run out like 5. So something like that. So we're having fun selling this stuff, and now we're in a pickle because of the war, and you know that. We going to lose our goods from Russia, from Belarus, and most of the goods from Ukraine due to damage to infrastructure in my former country. And it's paying me. For example, it was a wonderful plant, Sandora, in Mykolaiv. It's a port city on the Dnieper with access to the deep waters and the Black Sea. So they built ships there. But as well, this plant that produces nice juices. And somehow Russians bombed this plant. Maybe they thought that pomegranate juice is not what it is. It's a hand grenade being produced there, not a pomegranate juice. Anyway, so plant is done with, and we will lose this stuff. And it's just one example, so many of them, and it's a tragedy that's going on right now, obviously, for
could
people.
Could you explain in more detail how has this war impacted you, like your family personally, and how did it affect your business?
I still have from my father's side his cousin from previous generation. Only one guy survived. He is 91 plus year old. He cannot leave his apartment in Kiev, and that's it. If bombs or missiles going around him and he lives on outskirts of the town, he cannot get out. So his son, for example, he's same university I graduated from, he's a physicist. 4 years ago he had a stroke in the ripe age of 49, and we could only help just providing some funds for his rehabilitation from massage and whatever. So we helped a little bit, so now he could move around the apartment. Obviously depression and everything else. So his wife wanted him to get more fresh air, closer to the nature, and she had an apartment north in Kiev, in Vyshgorod. It's a small satellite town. Wonderful. They lived there last year, everything cool, but it was a Russian invasion and they had battles going on under the windows. And the guy cannot move out because of his condition too. So that's my family in Kiev, family in Umman as well. Not many people left in all countries, some distant relatives in Odessa and so on. So it's heartbreaking. Mind you, I have distant family members, not immediate family, a little bit, in St. Petersburg and in Moscow too. And these people are not happy with what's going on as well. So that situation. My wife from Far East, she was born on the other side of the pond in Amur district, and she just in shock since the war began. Cannot expect this either.
What's her country of origin again?
Soviet Union, but she's from the Russia. Now it's Russia. Yeah, she is here for a long time too, but well, that's what's going on.
Do you get a lot of Ukrainian customers in your shop? And
Of course,
have they
of course.
been affected by
Yes,
the war?
today, for example, I have a friend who came from Kiev a week ago, and he came with his wife. And his wife is from another satellite town in Kiev named Irpin. Maybe you saw it in the news. Half of the city totally destroyed, and she was in Kiev when they started, and her mom's house is there in Irpin, but they cannot get to see what's happened to them. So they came back to Canada, and they, when after the war, they will go back and see whether the building still stands. We have 6 ladies working for our business from Ukraine, actually, and we're trying to help them, their family in Ukraine financially or otherwise. And I know the distant relatives of one of my employees had been killed in the northern part of Ukraine, but the immediate family managed to get out. I have very many friends from university years who decided to stay in Kiev. One girl now in Lviv, one in Italy, and a very good friend who came to Kiev to see her family and friends. She is head of one of the department in the University of Canberra, Alexandra Melnichenko, and she now just managed to get back to Australia to her family. But when the war started, for 1 month she was in Kiev, so I was in touch with them. I have many Russians friends who actually wrote for Ukraine. One of my contacts, he is a writer and he was journalist for 30 years, writing for Los Angeles Times. And he never been taking sides in the war conflict. He wrote a few novels about wars, and he was an eyewitness of many of them. But this time, this Russian subject with Russian passport, he took arms and in territorial Ukrainian forces. So his name is Sergei Loiko, and he's well-known journalist and author, and he's fighting right now. He was fighting near Kiev, and now he's in Kharkov, and I'm trying to be in touch with him too. So
We hope he stays safe.
I hope he stays safe. I do hope. I'm telling him to stay safe.
And we've heard that you've been sending help to Ukraine, and could you describe it in more details and tell our listeners how they could help if they want to?
Okay, we in our business we as well representing a company, courier company Meest, MEEST, headquartered in Toronto. This company sends parcels, discounted price, and it has a courier services in all former countries of Soviet Union, now in all the rest of Europe, but such oases like Monaco, Andorra, Vatican, no, but big countries, yes, and Israel on the top of it. And this company now obviously doesn't send stuff to Russia and Belarus, but other countries are enriched, especially Ukraine. As well, they banded with a couple other organizations that pick up the bill for air shipment. That's why we managed to send through our store all people in the community. And again, it doesn't matter, Ukrainian or Russian or whoever, local English speakers never been to Europe, more than 2.5 tons of humanitarian aid. We send now we do not need any more like diapers, like clothes. This stuff already is there, and they can ferry it from Europe much more easily. What we need now is a military style clothes for territorial defense, for civilians that they blend and not become a target of the attack, and obviously medical supplies. So all kind of medicine, bandages, first aid, whatever you can imagine could be used in the field hospitals is appreciated very much, because these couple companies that subsidized shipment till last week, now they run out of money, simple as that. So it's still a price to pay to send it from here to Toronto, from Toronto to Poland, from Poland to Ukraine. That's how it goes. So 1 kilo cost by air $8, and 1 kilo of aid if you send it from Montreal by ship cost, as I remember, $5 per kilo. So unfortunately it came to the price tag. I can subsidize myself a few packages when I see people who really do not have much money, and that, okay, I can pick up the tab, but I cannot do it indefinitely as well. And again, on our side, in our family, we're helping our family, we're helping our friends there, and I prefer to help people I know for whatever reason, and couple humanitarian causes that, for example, it's orphanage, by all means. Some of my friends help orphanages, they have dog shelters because so many animals are now without help, without hosts and whatever. And these animal shelters are overwhelmed now, so many new orphans and people maimed and so on. So everyone chooses his own venue, and hopefully it will work.
If people want to help, do you know some charities that you would recommend, or like can they make donations to your shop?
No, don't do donations to my shop, please. Go to the website of Meest, meest.com or .net, now I don't remember. It's in my computer. But Mist company, Mist Courier will show you. They have on the top address how you can help monetary to someone as well. We have people in Ukrainian community in Zurich here. It's St. Mary's, I believe, Orthodox Church, and a priest there and a couple volunteers will gladly guide you to where you can make your donations. As well, please, if you do donations, do it only to sites that you know that other people donated and it's a bona fide site, and you're not going to crooks, because so many strange things going on around, which I wouldn't go to the first available site without references, without anything, and think what to do with it. That was one of the reasons at the beginning that I decided to help just individuals. For example, family of my employees, a little bit they could, my friends, my family. Again, you can give them our phone number, our store phone number, that if we come across good references, a good cause, we'll gladly share this information.
Thank you for telling us that.
Oh, no problem.
Moving back to more business-related questions.
Sure.
When did you first start your business? Like which year?
We started it, I remember that just before Olympics in 2010, and I was moonlighting in this business because I still had been working at SFU. And it was quite a challenging time. We had no idea what to do, how to order stuff, and what the policies or price, how to deal with employees. So it was interesting. So instead of watching Olympics, we spent 15, 16 hours. I'm a little less than my wife because I still had to go to university. But sooner than later, we settled in it, and now we are comfortable after all this years. We used to have another business that we had for a while, for around 7 years, and then we sold it just before the pandemic, or otherwise we would be toasted. And other business was a Greek restaurant, Mediterranean restaurant in Port Moody. And thanks God who sent us Korean customers who decided to buy the stuff, the restaurant, and convert it, believe it or not, to Japanese one. It's not enough sushi in Vancouver, so why not? So, but they managed to do it before pandemic, and price was good, so we decided to part with this restaurant, and now I think it was a blessing.
What are some challenges you faced while operating your store, and how do you deal with these challenges?
Again, challenges were actually dealing with people. All my life I was working with students, but it's a little different. You try to teach someone something, and then you see, and if it's not good, you just okay, but here you can do that. And dealing with people is always have some challenges. Each of us unique individuals, and no store policy will cater to everyone, and you will have some problems sooner or later. You may not have a problem, and it's good. Now we have a very good team. It doesn't matter what country of origin. Due to this conflict, we have a lady from Kyrgyzstan, we have Ukrainians, we have Russians, and we have absolutely no friction between them. And we're trying to keep politics away from dealing with customers as much as we could, because customers come from each and every background, each and every country. And dealing with customers, it's another thing. We had so many funny stories at our place, can't believe it.
Could you share some with us?
I better not, because I could recognize them.
Okay. Could you tell us a bit more about your employees? Like, how did you get to know them, and how do you train them?
Believe it or not, we trying really hard not to lay out anyone. We still have 2 ladies who work for previous owner, who came to the business before us. And the rest who worked before us, they move along because they moved from the area or decided to get a better job or something like that, maybe more pay. One girl had to go to university and so on, so else. So we are not stopping anyone from leaving. Obviously, despite in a couple cases we tried to increase a pay, whatever. It worked for a while, but then they moved anyway. We have quite a few resumes waiting for us, but now we cannot hire anyone because there's no opportunities, no positions. And again, we employ 11 people right now, and I don't think we have a problem with any one of employees. Last problem we had was with a lady like 3 years ago, but that was it.
What do you enjoy the most about running your business in Coquitlam?
You won't believe it, but I enjoy talking to people, to customers.
You just said customers were the most difficult part.
Yes, but I like challenges. And now when I'm older than the average, you won't believe, but now I can say to people what I couldn't say 10 years ago. Maybe because I'm now officially blonde or whatever, but I can say to them some things just from my mind. And people think, oh, this old guy, maybe knows what he's talking about. So that's a fun part of it.
And what do you least enjoy about running your business?
Least enjoy? Well, if some of employees make a stupid thing and I have to reprimand or just tell them, for example, they broke a piece of flask in the coffee machine, okay. To find out who the hell did that and whether I should ask for compensation or what, I don't like it. I better go and buy another one. But sometimes when I see it was a payment, they forgot something on a cash register, and it's one add to the other, and I suddenly see the bill that was cancelled for $42,000. Obviously they had to cancel it. So they forgot to push a proper button. And if you work for 5 or 6 or 7 years in this business, you should know how to put stuff in. So I don't like that. But sometimes I have to talk to the people about it. Well, I hope no one keeps a grudge against me.
It's
That's a lie.
surprising because I imagine because you before you started this business you used to teach, and I imagine as a teacher or a professor you will have to reprimand your students a lot of the time.
I was so happy that I didn't teach much at SFU. I was mostly doing research. So I was teaching labs here, labs there. I was visiting professor at Syracuse University in upstate New York. I was moonlighting in Fraser Valley College. Now it's a university, thanks to one of our premiers, and so on. Well, teaching is fun, especially if you teach a general thing. And when you're dealing with students, I was mostly dealing with master and PhD students. And it's a one-on-one conversation, and you're dealing with them. and I have much more satisfaction doing this thing. Maybe my son picked up this trait. He and his wife now run their own lab in university in Japan, and they're doing exactly that. They have this lab, but they have only postgrads there and helping them to become a scientist. So PhD students, master students, that's what I would love to do when I was again young. But it's not going to happen soon, you know.
Which branch of science does your son do?
It's pretty complicated to explain to a lay person, but it's organometallic catalysis. If it,
I have no idea what that
Okay.
is.
So it's you use very specific metals to make some reaction going. Without this catalyst, but it's not just a metal as is. It has a coat of organic, it name inorganic ligands, but it's a coat of organic stuff around this metal that helps to fully utilize its catalytic abilities. And then you can have a very funny things going on. Okay, my kid did, for example, one research that was published in the journal Nature, which dream of every scientist. I tried 2 times, they didn't publish me, they published my son's work. So, for example, you have a bottle of vodka, okay? Warm it up, what happened? Nothing really, it evaporates, and if you distill it, it will redistill again, you get a stronger stuff. But from chemical point of view, nothing happens. So, but if you introduce a catalyst that Eugene and company created to there, you have extrusion of hydrogen and all your alcohol going into the acid. For example, if I wrote this equation when I was a student at high school or at university, I would be kicked out of the immediately. You're an idiot, you cannot be like that. So, but with this, that's a new science, new approach to dealing with organic chemistry, what he is doing. And it's working, and it's a miracle, because it works for each and every alcohol, including higher alcohols, in pharmaceuticals. So you can get acids really easy now. And one molecule of catalyst works to convert like 40,000 molecules of alcohol to acid. And then you have whatever drugs, and it's important thing. So that's just one example.
That's so cool, and it's so cool that Nature published your science work.
Yeah, I think
so
it's,
amazing.
yeah, he is smarter than I am, I know.
Are you
He
so
speak-
proud of him?
He speaks 8 languages. Otherwise he is stupid, but in science and language he is okay.
Do you have any special memories with the business you would like to share with us?
Oh, what special memories? No, it's not terribly special. It's sometimes it's funny. We used to have festivals before the epidemics. We had this, for example, crepe week or butter week. We had it every year, and it's a pagan festival that church incorporated. It's like end of the winter, beginning of spring, rites of spring, if you know the music and whatever. So the same festival. And we had so many artists, so many interesting things going on. During epidemics, everything went down the drain. This year, we were gearing up to repeat some of it. Usually, during this time, we feed people with crepes. But now the war interfered. And our business was on receiving believe it or not, even of some threats. That how come you doing this festival in the times of war? But we planned it from January beginning. So anyway, so it was quite a few of verbal abuse online and whatever. So I would like to share this snippet of information just to show that we are not terribly wild people. We're trying to help community, and whatever happened outside of Canada, whatever influence our life, but let's keep each other here, not in a crossroad, but in our thoughts, and help to heal maybe with such a situation, and keep civil discourse working. So it was quite a few things. So people were giving us, because of this festival this year, 1 on the Google review without any explanation. For one of these things we get like 10 positive reviews. Anyway, now it's a water under the bridge. Hopefully it will never be repeated. And some people who did it, they're not even our customers. So, and when I'm thinking about them, I think I can understand where they're coming from. I can forgive their attitude, obviously, and I would like to speak to them one-on-one. They, for example, learn my background, that I'm fluent in Ukrainian language, but I have as well fluent in Russian language. So I'm not sitting on 2 seats in this regard. I'm all for Ukraine in this struggle, but let's see in other people human being first.
Thank you for sharing that. And could you tell us a bit more about any upcoming events you will host in your shop?
We put on the back burner any upcoming events till the end of the war. Usually we would help celebrate Easter, that's coming pretty soon, but this year it will be lowercase, nothing special. We hope that this will be beyond us sooner than later, and then we'll see what's up. Unfortunately, now I cannot plan, and you know.
Yeah, it's very reasonable.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a bit more about like some of the past events that you have hosted at your shop, and some of like the good memories you had with them?
Yeah, we had events. Sometimes they were in the shop. Sometimes we sponsored events, and we are sponsoring, for example, a choir here, and they even allow me to sing there. Not just being a sponsor, so I can sing a little bit. And yeah, it's a Chorus Juventus. And before the war, we had like 30 people singing, and we sang all kinds of songs, including Serbian, including Georgian, in English, in Ukrainian, and in Russian. And now, for example, the choir is still rehearsing after the epidemic, and we started Leonard Cohen Alleluia right now. So we're sponsoring that, and events with choir were really well received. So we're going to continue that as soon as all this is over. And we would love to sponsor other musicians, and we have many good contacts. We have gypsy groups, we have people playing accordions, we have people who can do trombones and whatever. And yeah, it's quite a lot of talented people around. I'm not one of them. I'm just singing a little bit.
You are a scientist, so your talent lies elsewhere.
I can play piano, so I'll show you a little.
Sure, you're great. By the way, which language do you speak at home? Because I know your wife is Russian.
Yeah, with my wife is Russian.
Okay. And with your children? I know you no longer live together, but why?
With my son, again, he speaks 8 languages, so we're mixing some Russian and English. With my daughter, it's much more complicated because she's a local product, and she lives now in Saskatoon, and it's mostly English.
Could you describe your customer demographic to us? So their age group, gender, etc. And if you have a favorite customer.
We have repeated customers all the time. We have younger generation that were born out of Canada and, believe it or not, inside of Canada. And from extraction, Ukrainian, Russian, or Belarusian, or from Lithuania. And it's normal. We have tons of people from Kazakhstan, geographically saying, from Moldova, as well from Poland. Polish people love our place, and some Yugoslavian and Hungarian. I can speak a little bit of Hungarian. I was exchange student in Hungary, so it's very hard language, so I know a couple words here and there. And whenever I see Hungarian people, I try my Hungarian, which is totally stupid, but anyway. German, you can speak sometime with people and know a couple words there too. So it's interesting to try to refresh whatever small snippets of language you have in your head. That's maybe where my son got this idea. So we love when people from other countries come and we can tell them a couple words in their own language. So it's fun. Sometimes you see looks like a Slavic person coming to you, and you start talking Russian to him or her. Oh God! And then it happens. And density in and around our place in Burnaby and Coquitlam, we're on the border, increases population density. I mean, and many more high-rises coming up, many more people started to come in. And sometimes I see people I never saw before. Old customers, everyone knows me, maybe because I'm a little taller than most of them. So the guy. And my employees, almost all women. We have accountant, we have other guy who comes to do things, but most of are ladies. And usually some customers asking, just oh, your husband told this and that to me. And now I have a nickname. All ladies name me our husband.
That's sweet.
Because your husband. Okay, fine.
Do you have customers who are not European by origin,
yes,
but they just happen to like
yes,
European?
We have more than a few Oriental girls who comes specifically to try our pastries, believe it or not. We have people from Central Asia and from all ends of Siberia who are related to First Nation in Canada, by the way. The same people, exactly. They're coming to our store, and you see the First Nation guy who speaks fluent Russian, for example. Okay, he's not First Nation here. Okay, he's from Buryatia or from Chukot Peninsula. So now then, boom, you understand that you were wrong. And it's again funny. Very many people, as I said, from Kazakhstan, and they doesn't look like Europeans. So it's okay, we don't discriminate on the basis of race, gender, or whatever.
During your time operating Eurofood, what are some major changes that happened to your local community and what stayed the same?
With time going on, as I mentioned in the previous answer to the previous question, we have more people moving in. And it's not necessarily people from European background, more and more people who are born in Canada speaking in their life only English. Sometimes you hear French, but not often. So these people are coming. Many more Chinese and Koreans are coming by. Never before that. So I think it's for good because, again, maybe they find something interesting for themselves, and as well as good for bottom line. Sorry to say that.
Are there any other businesses in your neighborhood or in your area, and do you shop at each other's stores?
Sure. It's a chicken place down the hill that when I'm too hungry and I just don't want to eat any more sausage from our store, for example, I'm going for a piece of church chicken. As well, next door we have good people from pizza place, so sometimes we help them as well. Sometimes they shop at our place and we give them and they give us 10% discount. And Money Mart, and we know these people. Before we ask them, okay, if you change me $100 bill for coins, it would be really helpful. Here is a coin, and for the service. No, now we send money to Ukraine through them, so we have a good relation, and they go shop at our place too. So that's how it's going. Anyway, my experience, all people in our block, and it's quite a few small businesses, are really hardworking. It's my experience.
Do you have a favorite item from your shop?
Cottage cheese.
Cottage cheese.
Yeah, cottage cheese done by a fellow, I know it's his business, and he's from Siberia himself, and he sells his cottage cheese all around Vancouver. Now in the health store, it's really nice organic production, and Vita Dairy, and I just cannot live anymore without this cottage cheese. No, I'm serious. Every night I have to have a little bit of his cottage cheese.
So if people go into your shop and ask for cottage cheese, they'll find it?
Of course. It's on the display.
Okay. And what is the most popular item in your shop?
It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell really. And people buying every day dumplings. Small dumplings with meats inside, and dumplings we had being produced in all ends of the woods, I would say, including Alberta, including Ontario, including Quebec, and so on. And we have a varieties, dumplings and pierogies, and it's flying from the shelves. As well, you won't believe such an item as a dry bread rings, and it's a old country tradition. It doesn't cost much, but people love it, and have this stuff with tea or with coffee, and you can store them for a very long time, and this is one of the best sellers. And as well small cheesecakes, and I'm not talking about like hundreds of different sausages and cheeses and fish, that's going too. But these things are really, really interesting. And I mentioned cottage cheese and sour cream from the same company, flying.
Is there a merchandise in your shop that you like a lot, but it doesn't get a lot of attention and you think it deserves more love that you would like to tell us about?
Preserves, I would say.
Like as in fruit preserves or like meat, fish preserves?
Fruit preserves. It's going slowly, but we're trying to keep really good stuff on the shelves. So we have a line from Armenia, which is incredibly good. And it took people maybe 2 years to start appreciate it. Now it's moving, finally. But again, it took 2 years. It's really hard to change customers' preferences, I would say. They like, for example, what they had in old country, whatever, they never go for something else. So same goes to here. And that's why we have so many different things from so many countries, that people from this country who came to the store find, oh, that's paprika from my country, that's Hungarian. Okay. Yeah, Egan. Egan is yes in Hungary. Okay. So, and then we start talking. Oh, how good it is. Same goes for preserves from Ukraine, it's a vegetable stuff and whatever. I'm joking that for sometimes that we have these preserves as a chasers. For unknown to me reason, people perceive males and sometimes females from my old country, I mean Soviet Union, as a terminal alcoholics. So they love to drink the vodka. Okay, so I'm on board with this wrong idea when it comes to sell the stuff. Okay, that's really good with vodka. Okay, fine.
And what are the specific type of fruit preserves you have? Like which kind of fruit?
Many kinds. You go in, you take a look.
Can you give us some examples?
All usual suspects. Number one, like strawberries, like blackberries, like sour cherry, but as well quince. But as well, one stuff I don't think you ever tried, it's green walnuts, which is interesting. You never had a preserve from green walnut, so it's beautiful stuff. And I like it personally. And Cornell cherry, which has a totally different names in Slavic languages. Cornelian cherry. And this is not your cherry. And this looks like barberries, another barberry fruit, and so on, so else. Sometimes I wonder whether we need so many choices to provide to customers. But when I'm looking to what our competitors have, then no, we have to, because not have like 3 here, 3 there in different. No, we're trying to get as much as possible, and hopefully this brings more people. We are not complaining that we are not selling our stuff. Quite opposite. Obviously, some stuff going old, we had to discount it or throw it away when it's bad, obviously. But we are selling quite enough of stuff to get it moving, and we have so many customers that it's no problem for us to get always fresh goods.
Good to hear. Now moving on to questions about the pandemic. How did the COVID-19 pandemic impact your business? Did you stay open as an essential business, or did you go into lockdown? And did this affect your income?
We are essential business service. And I had this COVID, infection, one of the first, I believe. I had two-side pneumonia myself on the second day of symptoms. Before me it was my wife who got it, and she was in a very bad situation. No one knew what's going on at the time, and she had to go to the hospital, got a very strong antibiotics for secondary infection. And then from beginning of her being sick, in 14 days I got this stuff, and she already managed to move around. So she went to the doctor, managed to get in the car, which was tough, went to the doctor, got a prescription and X-ray requisition. So on the second day I had pneumonia on my two sides. Never had pneumonia in my life before. So I understood that this virus was really bad. thanks God, it mellowed, and it should, according to what I know as a scientist. And so this Omicron was not unexpected. I think, and whatever next going to be, it will be mellowing down like all viruses before that. It's generally thinking. And when virus is new, it affects you, and then it goes down, 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 in terms of ability to kill the host. It's absolutely against the evolution for this super parasite to start killing hosts. The best way is to be inside the host for as much as possible and procreate and get the virus particles to the other member of society. That's how common cold works. So this will be the same. It's already like a common cold. So now it's a time to move on because it's endemic, and believe me, the common cold, when it appeared like 200 years ago, was pretty much like this stuff. It mellowed down. So nothing new under the moon, as Ecclesiastes would have said, and this stuff will go the same pathway. I had in my background some molecular biology even before I became a chemist, and radiobiology. That's I survived in Chernobyl because I had this background. I knew how to protect myself. So from all I know, this will go away. And saying all that, during this epidemic's first beginning of the crisis was horrible for the business in terms of people run and try to buy everything. And we had no idea where to get a new supply. So when it was a panic, for example, to buy buckwheat, one of the grains that is staple of the diet. So I had to go to Seattle myself. It was the very beginning in March, I believe, of 20. And I brought back the whole truck of buckwheat. It lasted 5 days. I had to go back to Seattle, and at this time it was no buckwheat available. So I managed to go to a couple warehouses there and get like half a truck of a buckwheat. That was it. And then we have to ration it. So not more than 2 kilos in one hand. And I felt very bad about it. But it helped us to get through these tough times until supply started to come from the east and from the Europe, from the Ukraine. And then people stopped going to the store, and then they started to go back to the store. So it was like wave-like function anyway, like a yo-yo, I would say. And at the end of it, we made 20 and 21 better than 19. So in terms of money, epidemics didn't affect us much at all. In terms of our customers going nuts and crazy, yes, it affected us pretty much, but it's generally in all population Canada had been affected. Mental health is going down the drain. I mean, what's going on is totally unheard of, and really bad situation is now. So I'm more concerned about mental health of people. I'm more concerned about undiagnosed cancers for future. Then I'm concerned about COVID. I'm not concerned about COVID anymore. So that's it.
Did you have to lay off any of your
No.
employees? Or
No,
did
no.
any of them quit during the pandemic?
No.
So
We
they all
we kept all people, we paid them, and everything was okay. During this pandemic, I was maybe, when the border was semi-closed, I'm essential service provider, so I was maybe 70 times in States, bringing food, supply when I needed, because of demand going on. So that's how it worked.
Mm-hmm. And now we have arrived at the end of our interview. Do you have any closing remark or any word of advice you would like to give to our audience?
Of course. People who present here, welcome to visit our store, and I will give you a tour on the premises. And please don't eat before you go. Yeah, because of pastry we have. And you won't be disappointed. I'll promise to translate everything that's not translated into English, whatever language it is. There, Polish, Hungarian, whatever. I'll try to translate Russian, Ukrainian, and you will be interested, to say the least. And to listeners who may hear this, just drop by and see yourself. It's different. It's different from big store. It's different from many small stores, and we try to keep it different. These holes here are made for purpose. I use a string from respirator to put through it and have it on my neck, that no guy with a gun can bother you, because of the word is written here. In Russian it's named всюду. In English this red stuff means everywhere. That's a propusк, permission number. Here, to get in this seclusion zone, here is abbreviations. US 605, headquarter of construction 605. If you read Archipelago Gulag by Solzhenitsyn, you would know that headquarter of construction is abbreviation for Gulag camps, cluster of Gulag camps. It was no Gulag camps anymore, but abbreviation still lived, system was still around. GKAE, Government Committee of Atomic Energy, stands for. That's my name. And then that is good till end of December 86. And that's how handsome I was looking when I was young.
Very handsome. Yeah.
Now it's just a parody.
Still handsome.
Come on. So, and it was 3 levels of security in the exclusion zone. Here instead it was blue, named Chernobyl, then it was green, Pripyat, and that was the highest clearance. Because of that clearance and what I saw in Chernobyl myself with my own eyes, I wanted to get out of Soviet Union. This was a final drop. I didn't like the system before, but after Chernobyl I wanted to get out, to have kids in a cleaner place. And because of this, I couldn't get out till 1990. Here, it's almost gone already. It was a triangular stamp with name Atomic Nuclear Plant, whatever, nuclear plant, Chernobyl. And here was another, you may not see here, but it was a stamp here. And this stamp allow you to go to military headquarters, where I was hiding during the day sometime because I don't want to be bothered. It was 12-hour shifts per day, and then you go back to the cleaner place where you dwell. It was Ivankov. Now it's a heavy fighting going on right now. Used to go, now Russians retreated to Belarus. And in Ivankov we lived, believe it or not, in the female mental asylum. It was no patients there, but it was really hard to close the door, because door were closed from outside, not from inside. And yeah, you had this shift, then you go back, had a gulp of hard alcohol, play cards with friends, go to sleep, in the morning again 12-hour shift. And with this schedule during the day, thanks to this piece of thing, I had opportunity to hide in the military headquarters.